Okay, wait a minute. let me do that again, because you didn't hear anything I just did. You didn't hear anything I just did. Oh, you can't even see. Yeah, there it is. All right, here. Let me try this again. All right, hey, good morning. Welcome to yet another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. Hello, good morning. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I almost messed myself up again. That would have been terrible. Let me reorient myself to be a little more centered. All right, there we go. Not too centered, because you don't want to be like the center, but like, so I'm not like out of the picture completely. I'm just like, it's me doing this. Yeah. Hey, see, check me out. Whoa, there I am. Here I am. La la la. Ooh, look, me all armored up. Okay. Anyways, armoring up. uh, but yeah, hey, check it out. So here I am, another Saturday, on Sunday, the what, 21st, August 21st. So I haven't done a lot because I'm working on the next part of the conceptualization. You can see it over there. You can see it. You can see where I'm conceptualizing. I'm starting to like try to imagine the next part. Because that's like, it takes work, right? Like you don't just dream stuff up. It takes work to come out. And you got to God, see, no one wants to actually put any value to it. They call it daydreaming. They call it like doing nothing, being lazy. But it takes brain work and vision work in order to be able to see something well enough that you can make it. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't just magically appear. You can't read it in a book and then have it and just follow the instructions in the book. You have to like actually make it in your head. You have to actually visualize it and build it in your head. Here, for example, like this person I know wants to do a trip to a place, but to do this trip, this person has to think, like, has to visualize the entire trip. They have to, and to visualize the entire trip, you have to start from where you want to end up and work backwards and see if what kind of hangups you're gonna meet along the way, and then see how you would get around it, how you got around it, because you've already gotten there. You're already there, right? You're already in your mind. You're already there. So, like, for example, I have this idea, or this person has this idea to go on a trip to just anywhere, really, just to go on a trip, just to go somewhere. But the end where they want to go isn't very clear for them. And so since the end isn't very clear, they don't know how to get there. They don't know how to get there because the end isn't clear. So I asked them, okay, let's sit down and let's work it out. All right, when we're at this place, we're okay. We're already there, right? We're already there in our minds. We're at this place in our minds. What is the hotel that we're staying at? And this person's like, I don't know. It's like, well, we can go on the internet, look on our map, and find one, and find the hotel. And then once we know what hotel we're at, then we're gonna figure out, how do we get to that hotel? Well, did we rent a car or did we take a shuttle? Like, are we gonna need to rent a car? Okay, we can rent a car. Where would we rent a car? Where would we rent that car? Well, we'd probably rent that car at the airport. Okay. So we're probably flying in. So we got to figure out like the airports that we're taking. So we got to know the dates that we're going. Like, it starts like piling up. But when you can start visualizing and answering all these questions in your mind, not actually doing it, you're not actually there, you're not actually going, you're not actually moving at all, right? You're just in your place drinking coffee. But but this is work. This is actually work. You can't just be like say bullshit, because it's not going to actually materialize. If it's bullshit, it's not gonna help your cause, help you to materialize what you want to make. You can't materialize bullshit. so let's see. Am I going? Recording? Yep. Okay. So I asked this person, what do you want exactly? What do you want exactly? And I'm trying, and it takes work because like at each step you have to visualize what you would do in that situation. So I'm gonna give you little spoilers. Everyone's into that series Dune. Everyone's reading Dune, right? Everyone knows about Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune. All right, spoiler alert, okay? Spoiler alert. And then in the second book, I think it's the second book. Paul Atreides takes over like Arrakis, takes over the planet, and a big cult comes up, and there's a big problem because then the religion tries to take over everything. Anyways, at one point, someone fires off a nuke, and Paul Atreides looks at it with his naked eyes, which of course blinds him. You know, when you look at a nuke from close enough with your naked eye, it's gonna blind you. But Paul's visions in his head were so clear, so perfect, he could operate without using his eyes. He could still operate like he had vision, as if he had vision, just by using his mind's vision. So it's not like a new idea to use your mind to fully visualize the thing you want and how you would get there and how it would go and how you would solve the various problems you come along the way. Like, okay, so we land in the airport and get a car, right? But then we have to know what time we're going so we can figure out the plane flights, right? And then we can work out everything else. So it all comes down to setting a date. Well, but not all of it. I mean, but a lot of it starts. I mean, okay, blah blah blah. I'm meandering here, but yeah, there's a point. You use your mind's vision to see where you want to go and where you want to be, and then you take steps in the material world to make that thing happen. So what I want to do here, my original plan was to make a train line that went all the way around the island in one big loop. So I could go all the way around the island in one big loop and never get off the train track and just sit on it, and it just will keep looping. So I started, and then I thought, hey, I should put this to practice because I've been looking at the news in the United States, and the Democrats and Joe Biden have had a particularly good week. They've had a really good week. And I wanna like talk about a little bit about what he's done so far. All right. So far, Biden's got the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act, which gets the manufacturing, trying to entice manufacturing away from Taiwan and back to the United States. The PACT Act, that's going to help our veterans and the burn pits. There's the gun law. There's bipartisan. That's kind of crazy. Joe Biden killed an Al-Qaeda leader, so that's pretty cool. The gas prices are going down finally. I guess jobs are up and we have low unemployment. There was the confirmation of America's first female woman Supreme Court justice, black Supreme Court justice, black American Supreme Court justice, Justice Jackson. Joe Biden got everyone on board to help with Ukraine. He was, I think he was a strong proponent of NATO. So of course, right, he expanded NATO. He got Sweden and Finland to join. He got the American Rescue Plan going. That was like way back in the beginning. There was the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the BIF, Biden infrastructure bill, which now they call it bipartisan because it was bipartisan, and it was the thing that they didn't want to pass. The progressives didn't want to pass until they got theirs passed because they knew they would get backstabbed, and they did. And then he got the Senate's negotiating to update the Electoral Count Act. Okay, yeah. So that's pretty cool, right? That's pretty cool. But we lost out. We had to give up a whole bunch of stuff in order to get that infrastructure bill passed. The Inflation Reduction Act passed. We had to give up a whole bunch of stuff in order to get that passed. Da 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 da. If you recall, Bernie Sanders wanted $6 trillion, and then with another additional $4 trillion for infrastructure. And then the Democrats had agreed to $3.5 trillion, but Manchin talked them down to $300 billion. So great, and everyone's saying, "What a great job this is! What a great job this is!" And you know what? It is a great job. It is a great job. Number one, it was arrived through our democratic process. There was no violence. There was no coercion. There was only using words and those things. There's never ever violence. No violence. That means humans can come to agreement without violence. We can do it. We can do these things. Okay, number two, I'm going to go to Gregory Brew. Mr. Gregory Brew is Professor Brew is great at this. The way he puts it, Peter Kalmus will say, the new climate bill spends less than 5% of what we spend on the military on an annualized basis and includes major concessions to the fossil fuel industry. Think how fast we could halt the irreversible damage we're doing to Earth if we actually really tried. Counterpoint by Gregory Brew. The U.S. this is like what's up. The U.S. is a heavily militarized petrostate, for real. The world's largest oil producer and major oil exporter, where the fossil fuel industry commands considerable political influence within an ossified and dysfunctional political system. Ossified, think like fossils. When something ossifies, it becomes so like stiff as to be like rock solid. And dysfunctional political system. That's our system right now. The very fact that the bill passed at all is a minor miracle. And this is true. This is true. I didn't get it. Damn it. So I have to pull it real quick. I got distracted by the mirror. Like, it's funny. I like chew on this all week and then I barely pull it together in the last like hour before I go. I had already written, I had made it. There it is. So what we got here is what we had to give up. Like already, just to get Manchin on board, we had to this is what we wanted to reach, and this is what Manchin's plan will get us to, which is not enough. But Manchin is speaking for the oil industry, and the oil industry demanded this, demanded to fail our commitment. Manchin demands that the United States fail its commitment. That's Manchin's demand. That is Manchin. In order to get Manchin on board to pass any bill at all, he demanded that the United States default on its obligation. That's Manchin, right? That's Manchin. He demanded the U.S. default. So what we need to do is to get 2 more senators to override Manchin. And then instead of having this paltry nothing, instead of this nothing, we could have at least this, if not this. Now, what would something like this get us? What would this get us? What are we talking about here? I'm talking about, well, here, let's look at the United States compared to every other industrialized nation, all these other industrialized nations. You got France in the 1980s. It starts building out its rails line. And by 2016, it had over 25,000 kilometers of, or 2,500 kilometers of rail line. I have written France's rail system. It's nice. It's nice. The TGV, it's great. It's great. Paris to Pau. So I had to go from Pau to Bordeaux, and then from Bordeaux to Paris. But it was like what? I guess 8 hours? Not even that 8. Not even 8 hours. But because it was nice, right? You're not. It's like not like a plane when you're all cramped in. You have space. You can get up and move around. You can go get a coffee if you want, and sit at the cafe and look out the window. And then like I took one train overnight in France, and like that was a little bit rough, but it was cool. I was young. At 21, I didn't really know, and it was only us three in one car, sleeper car that was for like 6 people. So not bad. I think it was for 6 people. I don't remember. How'd that work? Anyways, I didn't sleep that well that night because I drank a bunch of wine. I bought a jug of wine and tried to share it with people on the train. I was 21. Come on. Okay. France was great, right? Then we go over to Japan. Look at Japan. They've already had like 1,000 miles of rail to begin with, and then they just got better and better and better. I've ridden Japan's rail lines. I haven't ridden an overnight train. I don't know if they do overnight trains in Japan. But I rode their what do they call it? Shinkansen? Yeah, their bullet train. Baller. It's a baller train. It's nice. It's awesome. It's a great train. Awesome. Great way to get around. When I lived in Japan, I rode the JR Nara all the time. That's how you get from there's 2 lines that I was around, the Kintetsu line and the JR Nara. And I was closer to the JR line, and it took me like to Nara City where I wanted to go a lot. I lived in Yamato Koizumi. No. Yeah, and there was Yamato Koriyama. And damn dude, okay, it's been a while. And the train was great. I didn't have a car. I rode a bicycle to the train station 1 kilometer, and then I locked up my bike, and then I rode the train to anywhere in Japan I wanted to go. I went to Osaka, I went to Kobe, I went to Kyoto. I went all over the place. So the train, fantastic in Japan. So I didn't ride it in Germany. I didn't go to Germany, Italy. I rode the train in Spain, but not very much. I didn't travel very much in Spain. I was only there for a short time. But I bet they're nice. I went in 97. So like around here, they didn't have very much at that time. So yeah, all their rail came in way later. So yeah, they didn't have a lot of rail when I was there. But another way of looking at it is like this. The United States has like no rail. China built all its rail like instantly in 6, 7. I was there in 2007, and it was nice in 2007 to get around China. Now it's exploded to all over the place. I bet you could go anywhere in China on the rail. I bet it'd be nice. We could get that. We could have that if we had Bernie Sanders' plan here for mega infrastructure. This is what it would look like for us. Oh yes, I would dig this big time. Check this out. It would connect all the United States. You would not. You would not need. You would not need a car. You wouldn't, like, for me, like the big problem is the need of a car to go anywhere. Like if you need a car to I mean, you could fly, but that's expensive and stuff. And then and then it's like hassle. But this train line, I would love this. And I could go down to LA, whatever. I could go up, check out Montana. I have, I'd love to go check out Montana, to go check out all this area. It'd be nice. We could have this. We could have this if we got a good infrastructure bill. And don't say it's not possible. Look what China did. They built like 20,000 kilometers of rail in like 10 years. If come on, guys. If they can build 20,000 kilometers of rail in 10 years, we can do something. Look what we got. We got nothing. We can do better than this. We can easily do better than this. Come on. Okay. Yeah, I recommend you watch my videos at double speed on YouTube because YouTube does something where it doesn't mess up the voices when you watch at double speed. I downloaded a video and I tried to watch it at double speed, but they talk like chipmunks. So YouTube has this special thing where it like changes the people's voices to be normal when you watch at double speed. So yes, watch at double speed. It's okay. What else do I got here? Hey, I need to open up my narratives thing. Here we go. So if China can build all that rail, the United States can build all that rail, and it will be amazing for the United States. So look what I was trying to do here. I have this big plan about what, like this vision. I have this vision about what the United States can do to go to the future. To go to the future. I had to understand the fundamental, like the primacy of energy. It took me a long time to understand how important the question of energy was to life. And then once I understood that, then I'm like, oh, we need to find a way to get around it. So, okay, so I want to build this rail. And I have this. Here, let me tell you my plan first. I'm just going to tell you. I don't have anything to show you, so I'm just going to tell you. The first thing is, obviously, you can see with the war, with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and okay, so China. One of the reasons why China wants to control Taiwan, they talk about like sovereignty and national unity and BS like that, but really it's real politics. It's real politics. That Taiwan Strait is a place where an enemy, if Taiwan were an enemy, they could choke out the port of Shanghai, a bunch of ports along China's coast. So China looks at Taiwan as a threat, potential threat, and that's along its shipping routes. That's why it's building all those bases in the ocean on top of the coral reefs. I mean, here we are complaining about the poor coral reefs, and China's building right on top of them and killing them just to build an island there, just to build bases there. Ugh. Yeah, it's terrible. Okay, but that's because they want to control their shipping route. So here's Taiwan right there, right? So when their stuff comes in, it comes in from down here, and they've built all these bases in this area here, in this open ocean, and they're saying this is our area, and they want to take over Taiwan because look where all their shipping comes in. I think Shanghai is around here. Like, so if this is potentially an enemy, they don't want to be constrained with an enemy right on their border. So they're afraid. You can see why they would be afraid. They want to secure this shipping route so all their shipping and exporting is safe this way to the rest of the world. That's the real politic of it. That's why they really want it. They talk about all this other stuff, but that's what they really want. Why? Because all their oil goes in that way. so they really, and they, if you chop off their oil, then and that's their energy, and then China chokes and dies. The only other energy source China has is coal, and coal is not possible. Coal is going to kill them and kill us. They can't use coal. They can't use coal, and we can't, we can't force them to use coal. By choking them off, we would force them to use coal, and they would hate that. So the question for them is energy. China, energy. They need to control Taiwan so they can secure their energy supply, which is oil, until they can get their own energy supply, which they're trying to do through nuclear power. And that's why they went ballistic with solar panels, to get energy independent. They're trying to become energy independent. They are stuck to all these other countries because of their energy dependence. They have no energy of their own. They have to get it from someone else. Same thing with Europe. Europe has no energy of its own. It is stuck to Russia to get its energy. In fact, that's why there was like a big story about the potential corruption between, or I wouldn't say corruption, but the reluctance of the German political elite to upset Putin and to allow for Russia to continue to foster an energy dependency on it to Germany through Nord Stream 2. And like, yeah. And if Germany had its own energy, then they wouldn't need Russian gas. And in fact, they're the ones who are going to suffer as Putin cuts off the oil. They're going to suffer this winter. So it's they need to find an energy source. It's they're energy dependent too. France recognized this early on and said, "Yo, we need to not be energy dependent like these other guys." France tried to establish colonies and whatnot in Africa to get oil, to become energy independent, like the United States and everyone else is trying to do, and Britain was trying to do. Right, all these guys are trying to get oil in the lead up to World War II. But after World War II, France is like, "Yo, guys, why don't we we built this? We discovered the nuke, the atomic energy. Why don't we switch to atomic energy?" So France is like way out there, way ahead. They built a ton of nuclear reactors, and they reprocess their own waste, and then they reprocess the waste of other countries. So, but the way France does it is with old style nukes, and they're not so good. They're not so good. So France really isn't a model for energy independence, because they're using dangerous kind of, not the best kind of nukes. They use light water reactors, and light water reactors have a lot of potential dangers to them. And I could spell them out, but it wouldn't be the same as showing them to you. So everyone's looking at this and saying, look at the primacy of energy and how it causes all these problems in our world today. If we solved energy, the problem of energy, then we would have no reason to fight one another ever again. And if you look at it, energy has always been the problem of life, ever since the beginning. In the beginning, there's just stuff, right? It's just stuff everywhere. But this particular pattern of protein copied itself, made more of itself, and it held itself together long enough to make more of itself. And then it would keep going. It kept making more of itself. As the old ones died, the new ones kept making more of itself. To hold itself together, it takes energy. Things don't just stay together on their own. It takes energy to hold them together. So you either get the energy from the environment or from consuming something else and using its energy and transforming its energy into something you can use. So that's all of life. That's the whole question of life. Some creatures evolved getting energy from the environment. Other creatures evolved getting energy from eating creatures that got their energy from the environment. Because the question was always about energy, the calorie. The calorie. For millions of years, the question was calories. Always calories. Like, how do you get energy for the body, for life to keep going? The fundamental unit of energy for life is the calorie. But along comes humans. Along comes humans. And humans unlock energy. They unlock fire, which is, no other creature uses fire. So this is a source of energy external humans and external to calories. Because fire is energy, right? It's taking carbon. It's the oxidization of carbon. It releases light and heat when it does that. And other things. But yeah, it transforms. And this external source of energy, once humans got a hold of it and started using it, they started cooking their food and started staying warm and started keeping animals away. So their settlements got bigger. They grouped together more. Their gravity helped them together more. And then the fire, the energy, transformed them because they had less parasites in their food, which meant they had more bioenergy available. Because parasites, when you're a creature in nature and a parasite is in you and you can't get it out. Like when you're like an animal, like I saw a hedgehog. A hedgehog, spiky, but on the bottom parts they're soft, and they're like just and they're so cute. Well, I saw a video of big fat ticks on hedgehogs. What's the hedgehog gonna do? Can't do anything. There's just a big fat tick on you, sucking your blood. And then there's a couple. Maybe there's like 5 of them on you. What are you gonna do? Nothing. All you gotta do is keep soldiering on because you can't do nothing. But now you gotta eat, not just for you, but for the 5 ticks sucking your blood. So the available calories for you to live on are reduced because these parasites are eating them. Well, same thing with humans, right? When you're eating raw meat and raw food, you're getting a bunch of parasites in you, and the parasites inside of you are sucking up the nutrients and the energy that you would normally use for yourself, but they're eating it. Well, once humans started using fire, they could kill off all the parasites in the food, and so when they ate, they didn't have they had less parasites in them, and they're healthier and were able to like live longer and think better to figure out more things. And it starts to snowball. With fire, things started to snowball. And then it goes until you get to the next unlock of energy. What is the next unlock of energy? After fire, humans started hanging out together, a lot more in bigger groups and living longer and staying up after dark and all sorts of stuff. Fire changed everything. But then humans started figuring out something else. That was agriculture. They figured out agriculture. They figured out that if you take seeds and you like treat them a certain way and you come back, if you take seeds and you put them in the ground and you come back, there'll be more of those plants the next time at the next season. So they kept doing that, and eventually like, oh, this is pretty cool. And they kept doing it, and they're like, oh, look, if we get a bunch of these seeds and just stay here and keep doing this, we don't have to keep wandering around. We can just stay put and like do this and get food. We don't have to wander around and look for calories. We can stay put and get calories. So humans started doing, and then if we have extra calories, we can store them in the silo, in a grain silo. So we have a grain, grains store our grain. So when the times when like we would normally die when we can't find food, normally we would die. But now we have these extra calories in the form of grain. So now we don't die. In fact, it's the opposite. We grow bigger and bigger and bigger. That was the next energy unlock. And that's not from me. That's from a book I read from Ishmael about a gorilla who talks and tells a story. Okay. So that was the next energy unlock. Was the calorie. Humans unlocked the calorie. They were able, That was always the question of life, was the calorie. How to get more calories? How to get more calories? Like some creatures grew arms to get more calories. Some creatures grew a bigger teeth to get more calories. Some creature grew more leaves to get more calories. Like the question was, but it always came down to calories. How to get the calories? With agriculture, you solve the problem of calories. You know how to get extra calories. Now the question is, how do you optimize that getting of calories? How do you get more? How do you, like, now that we know you can get and store calories externally from a body, how do you get more of it? How do you get that bigger? Well, for you to stay put, for your tribe to stay put, or your group, whatever, to stay put and work the land, it's really hard, because that's all you're doing. that's all you're doing is working the land and hoping that you make enough. Okay. But that's when they found out. That's when humans found out, hey, our tribe is staying put and doing this agriculture thing, and it's really hard work. Those tribes over there that I'm looking at, they're just wandering around. They just follow the animals and then like kill the animals as they need them, and then just wander around, and then they're gone, and then we don't see them again unless like the next season. And then, but we're here and we're like shivering and freezing and working our asses off. Why don't we just go get them and make them do this? So some tribes went out and raided and attacked the hunter-gatherer tribes, and attacked their people, and took their tribe and dragged them over to their own agriculture tribe and made them work on their fields. And so the people from they were slaves. It was the very first slaves. That's how you did it. That's how they did it. That's how they did it. So sure, right? You unlocked the calorie. Sure, great. What a great thing. But now you're burning humans. Because to get the calories, you burn humans. You find a human and you give them less rights and privileges as other humans, and you burn them. You take their energy and you transform it into calories for your tribe. You take their life energy and transform it for your own tribe. So you see how as each question of energy gets answered, it makes new problems, other problems. Sure, humans unlocked fire. That's great. But then they started transforming everything. They started spreading around. Once humans unlocked fire, they became the dominant life force, I would say. Because they have fire, they can transform nature all around them by burning it. No other creature can do that. Maybe over time, if you introduce like an invasive species somewhere, like, sure, I guess you can. Other creatures can do it. But humans can like introduce irrigation and all sorts of stuff. They can terraform to a greater extent than other creatures. And fire helped them do that. And then the next unlock was the calorie. And then now you're burning humans. So for thousands of years, you're burning humans. Humans capture other humans and use their energy to create calories. And those extra calories are used to specialize that one group to create, to do all sorts of stuff. But one of the things is to create more like soldier units, to obtain more slave units, to obtain more calories. And it was going like that for a long time. But until someone unlocked the next thing, which was carbon. They coal. Once humans developed the engine and could harness the power of coal, because you get more energy out of coal than you do out of wood. I don't know why, but you do for some reason. Then they started. Then humans switched to burning, instead of burning humans, they started burning oil, hydrocarbons. So, and this comes from Kurt Sorensen. This isn't my idea. That part. So you start burning, and then once we start burning hydrocarbons, the world starts transforming. Consciousness expands. Humans start developing human rights, and recognizing, like, yeah, human rights. Rights to determine your own gender, rights to determine your own consciousness, rights to determine your own everything, right? Your own human rights. Like, these are human rights. That only came about after we determined that we shouldn't burn humans, and we stopped burning humans, using slavery, once we figured out that we could burn coal. I don't think we stopped. I don't think it was like we figured out that we could stop burning humans. It's that once there was a better alternative to burning humans, like those people who thought that burning humans was bad, they finally got enough power to get things to shift. I don't know if it was the moralness of it, or if it was the mechanical nature of industrialization just being a better energy source than burning humans. In any case, our society transformed once we stopped burning humans and started burning hydrocarbons instead. And all sorts of things happened. Okay, that gets us to the present day. Now we're at a problem. We're at a problem. Sure, we're burning hydrocarbons, but the burning of hydrocarbons is destroying our Earth. And the burning of hydrocarbons has inadvertently given power to ideologies of fascism that would destroy the planet and all the progress we've made to this point. So we have come to a conundrum. We have to leave this burning of hydrocarbons. But in order to do so, we need to have a better place to go. We need a lily pad to jump to before we make the jump. We can't just jump into thin air. It would be a little bit crazy. I don't know if we could do it. And we got to jump to something better. So I think that's what we can do if we can get a better plan with more senators. We can create conditions that would foster this better energy source, a better energy source than oil, where it's cheaper, cleaner, better, more reliable, and just better all overall. I think we can do it, and we can create an economy based on creating that energy system, that brand new energy system. And all we do is train the workers who are digging coal mines, and now we teach them to create solar panels and to install solar panels and install charging stations. It's an entire economy that we can build. All we got to do is switch off of oil, and the only way we can do that is by making it better. And we got to visualize it. We got to see it. So one way that I am really excited about is molten salt reactors. I've talked about this before in the past, and I want to visualize it so you guys can understand it. So at one point, right now, we have a choice. We can either continue to burn coal and heat up our environment until we all die, or we can switch to clean energy. Yay! And so here, I was going to try to build a molten salt reactor. But I'm doing a terrible job of it because you can't really see what I'm doing. So I need to dig a much bigger space out here. And this is going to be the first train stop. And each train stop, I'm going to make another thing that I can explain to people and show off. That way it won't be just words. It'll be like something I can show you. So a molten salt reactor is different from the light water reactor in that it never has to be pressurized. You keep a big pot of molten salt going at all time. It's always going automatically. It heats up the heat carrier, which will be like a gas, because that way it's not pressurized. That heat carrier goes to turbine, spins a turbine, and creates energy. Then you pipe in seawater. That's going to be seawater piped in. Then the water, once it goes to the turbine, or the heat exchanger, once it goes to the turbine, is not going to be fully empty of heat. With the extra heat, you're going to pump in seawater, and you're going to desalinate seawater, and then get fresh water. Then you're going to pump the fresh water out, and then put the coolant back in. Or not the coolant, but the heat exchanger. So you get free water as well as energy. That's what I want. That's one thing. Because we're going to have a big problem with water in the future. So I need to show you guys how molten salt reactors can transform seawater or any kind of briny water into potable water, into water. That way we won't need to take water from the rivers anymore, and we can get rid of our dams that are killing the salmon. Because right now we're stopping the salmon from reproducing, which is like the worst thing we can be doing. Like, why are we doing that? Why would we do that? That's such hubris. So by developing these things, we will never have to pull water from rivers or have dams that stop salmon from spawning. Molten salt reactor. So I'm going to build this. I'm going to build this molten salt reactor. Once we do this, it's going to destroy the petrol market. Like, no one appreciates what's going to happen. Once this is made, once you make a source of energy better than oil, it's going to destroy the oil markets. Entire economies are going to be like wrecked. The United States gets all its power because it's a major oil producer and exporter. That's why it has so much power. If oil were no longer the major source of energy for the world, the United States would lose a lot of its power. That's the way it is. But oil is killing us. Oil is killing us, so we have to get rid of it. We have to leave it. We have to leave it. We have to do it. So one way is molten salt reactors. A side benefit of molten salt reactors, besides clean energy and desalinated water, is that it eats our current nuclear waste. Right now, in the United States, we have all these nuclear reactors going, burning light water reactors. And when a tiny little bit of the energy is burned, then they throw it out. It's like going to a barbecue, going to a cookout, and having a giant plate of buffalo wings and eating just a nibble of each one. Just a nibble. Just a nibble. Not even around it. Just a nibble, and then throwing the rest of it out. That's what a light water reactor is. It's like going to a cookout, eating a nibble off of chicken wings and then throwing the rest of them out, buffalo wings, and throwing the rest out. Just a nibble. I'm telling you, just a nibble. It's like 96% of the energy is still in the fuel rod when they throw it out in the nuclear waste. So we have all this nuclear waste sitting in the country, sitting there. 96% unburned. It's still good. We're just letting it sit there. It's like eating a nibble of chicken wings and then throwing them out. So instead of throwing them out or putting them deep in the ground and burying it like they want to do, what we do is you build one of these things right where they are, and then you chuck them in. You chuck that stuff right in, and you burn it right there, and then you burn it all the way up to like 0.5% of all of it. So the waste is real tiny compared to what goes in. Right now you got 100 tons of waste. What comes out is 1 ton of waste. It's a lot easier to manage than 100 tons of waste. So this is like a major solution to our problems. is the light water reactor, and or the molten salt reactor. And we developed it back in like the 1950s. So all the United States has to do is to keep going. All you have to do is keep going. Keep going on this plan. Right? So what am I doing? This is like a dream, right? People are gonna come to me and be like, Pogokiro, that's like, you're talking crazy. You're talking dreams. You're talking like fantasies at this point. That's what I mean. This is the work it takes. You need the work. You need to be able to visualize. You need to be able to see how this thing is gonna come about. You need to see how it's gonna happen. How is this gonna happen? What's it gonna look like? Where's that money gonna go? Where's that money gonna go? You want to put it in a place where it can't be stolen. It can't be stolen if you put it into infrastructure. It can't be stolen if you put it into public health. It can't be stolen if you put it into public housing. It can't be stolen if you put it into rail lines that connect the whole country. So you got to be able to see it. Here's the first stop. Right? Here's the first stop to the future. We get off of oil. We get off of oil to save the planet, and we create molten salt nuclear reactors to, number one, eat up the current nuclear waste. Number two, desalinate seawater. And number three, well, get off of oil. All right. Then my next plan. Oh yeah, solar. We can do solar panels all over the country. China has already put solar panels all over the place. We can easily surpass our commitment to molten salt to climate change just by finishing the by renewing our commitment to molten salt reactors, or not molten salt reactors, to solar panels. China, like, I think Obama was setting us up to do that, and then he got stymied by the Republicans. They like kind of killed his plan to make the USA the solar panel like manufacturer. So China beat us to the punch there because of the Republicans. You know, that's the thing. White supremacists, right? White supremacists and oil are kind of aligned. That's why Joe Manchin fought so hard for the oil companies, because white supremacists and oil are aligned. That's why we need 2 more senators to make Joe Manchin irrelevant. And Kristen Sinema, dude, she totally sold out. Like, she like fought super hard for hedge managers, for hedge fund managers. It's so funny, dude. Like, that woman, she better not run, because she's gonna get primaried. She's gonna get so primaried. You're gonna get so primaried. Oh my god. So kind of my vision here is I'm gonna make like I shouldn't even do it this way, because now you can't see the island. Now you're inside. I need to go outside, along the outside. Oh yeah. So you ever go to Disneyland? Disneyland. They have a train that goes around the whole park, and in the train it has like different things you can see, like presidents and maybe presidents. I remember the dinosaurs. Ha 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 ha. It's been a long time for me. But I remember being excited to go on that train so I could see the dinosaurs. And I remember seeing a one part where the T-Rex was fighting the Triceratops, and in the background was a volcano exploding. I remember that. I don't know if there was a meteor or not, but yeah, that was exciting. That's kind of what I want to do here. So maybe that'll be my next season, where I visualize the future and stop looking at all the bad things that's going on. Not so much. At least not look as much at the bad things, and try to put in some visualization to help us see where we're going and where we want to go, where we want to be. Because it's unhealthy to just dwell on the negative stuff. So we got the high-speed rail, we got solar. I want to put banks, ATMs in all the post offices in the United States, and give all Americans their own post office banking account. That way we can use just post office to we could keep rural post offices open. That they serve a dual purpose then. Not only are the post offices, but they're banking services. Homeless people can easily access banking services because they won't necessarily need an address. Also, we can distribute funds very, very easily to people using their postal bank system, bank account, and we could use it, set it up to be like Social Security, so no one can really draw funds from it. It becomes like a trust fund again. Um, like it's so you can't use it for, I don't know. There's got to be a way to manage it successfully, like they did in Japan. Japan managed their postal banking system so successfully that it became the biggest banking system in the whole country. It was like the biggest corporation bank. Once it became privatized, it was the biggest bank in the whole world. It was a phenomenal success. I think the United States should also do the same thing as Japan did. I think it was great. It was a great idea. Yeah, make a train line that goes around the whole island. So we can do that, and then but to do that, we have to get rid of DeJoy, Louis DeJoy, who's installed by Donald Trump to stymie American progress in its institutions. Remember, white supremacists have an entirely different view than unionists, like Americans who want multiracial democracy. The ideas I put forth are all based upon multiracial democracy to best serve all the humans. But the ideas put forth by the Republicans and Donald Trump are all to promote elitism that serve only the privileged few and make the rest suffer. Make it to a pay-to-play scheme. So, of course, we're diametrically opposed. Of course, we're diametrically opposed. We have different views, different visions of our America, so that we're in conflict, big conflict. So besides having bank postal offices turn into banks, I also want to do Medicare for everyone. I also want to do free college. So we can do Medicare for everyone, and that's been done to death. Look at any other country, and they've already implemented their own version of Medicare for everyone. Every other industrialized country has already done it. We're the only country that has the idea of medical bankruptcy. No other country has the idea of medical bankruptcy. Only the United States. We need to fix that. If we get two more senators, and hold on to the House, we can get Medicare for everyone. We can do it. We can absolutely do it. It took Canada 20 years to do it, but we can do it. I'm sure we can do it. We can absolutely do it. Once we defeat the white supremacists, we can do anything. We can do anything. All right. So I want to get free college. But the other side to free college for people is not everyone wants to go to college, guys. Not everyone wants to do it. That's not everyone's cup of tea. Not like once you get the basic education, the basic picture of the story of what's going down, not everyone needs the fine grained details of what's happening. Sometimes people can pick it up for themselves. They got their own way of figuring it out. What they really want to do is figuring out how you do weld. How do you get two pieces of metal to stick to each other safely? How do you get electricity to flow without killing people? How do you get water to flow so that everyone can get clean water and you take away the bad water? How do you do that? Well, then set that up. We want free tech training for people. If people want to learn how to weld, do it for free. Teach them for free. If they want to learn plumbing, teach them for free. Electricity, teach them for free. Teach these people for free. In fact, make it kind of like mandatory to learn one of them. You might, if you want to be hardcore, oh dude, if you want to be hardcore, you make military service compulsory. You mandate military service, 2 years military service for everyone, all young adults. It doesn't necessarily mean be in the military. You can substitute military service for another kind of service if you're a conscientious objector. Fine. But I am all about military service. And in that 2-year military service, you should be made to do a tech training. Compulsory military service and compulsory tech training. Why? Not because I relish the idea of war, but because having everyone's sons and daughters, having everyone's children, grandchildren in the military will temper our foreign policy. I think politicians will be less likely to go to war in a foreign country if they know that the people going to war that they send will be a cross reference of the American society, not just the poor people, not just the brown people, not just the black people, but all the people of the United States. They will be less likely to go to war in a foreign country if all Americans are going to be end up going instead of just the poor Americans. That's why I want compulsory military service for all Americans. And you can temper it with compulsory tech training in welding, plumbing, something like that. Woodworking, something. All right. What else can I visualize? All right. Also, we have this entire budding industry that we are neglecting. Again, I say look at Japan to see our future. They are super advanced when it comes to elderly care, taking care of your elderly population. The problem with Japan is they don't have enough bodies to take care of their people. So they're looking to robotics to help them in taking care of elderly people. But I don't think we have that problem in the United States. We can continue to encourage immigration, and we can encourage but we have to make elderly care attractive as a occupation. Too often we leave elderly care to be the lowest rung, to be performed by the lowest rungs of society. We pay them the least amount of money and give them the least amount of benefits and provide them no protection. So I know caregivers I know a caregiver who has worked for many private caregiving companies. So these private caregiving companies are contracted by the state to perform functions that the state used to do, but now the state, has offloaded it to this private corporation that says they can do the same job for less money, which is never the case. It's never the case. It's never the case. Whenever the state offloads a function it used to do to a private corporation to do instead, the private corporation cuts corners and does a worse job, and it doesn't protect human rights. The function of the state is supposed to be to protect human rights. That's the number one function of the state. The number one function of the state is to protect humans, protect human rights. So that's not always profitable. And for some people, they feel that the state should be producing a profit. They look at the post office and they say, hey, post office, you're losing money. But the post office is supposed to be losing money. It's a service. It's a service serving humans, serving human rights, helping humans express their human nature. That's what the state is supposed to do. So to that end, yes, it costs a bunch of money to properly serve humans and their rights, but that's the cost humans pay for civilizations. So our question shouldn't be, how do we offload this to a private corporation so they can cut corners? Our question should be, how do we secure funds so that we could properly secure the human rights of our elderly population who deserve it? If you live to be old, if you manage to make it to be old, you deserve to have your human rights respected. I mean, humans deserve to have the human rights respected anyways. But just because you're old doesn't mean we should discard you as not important anymore. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. Humans are to be respected, regardless of their capacity to produce something of value for a corporation. Humans have value regardless of their capacity to produce for corporations. So yes, we need to find ways to foster our human infrastructure as well as our material infrastructure. We need caseworkers and caregivers and nurses and as much as we need engineers and laborers and houses and welders. So on top of it, for those, we need universal basic income. So I've already made this argument, like these are all stations I need to make. I've already made an argument about the problem with manual transmission, old style transmission, 5-speed transmissions compared to the uh the superior in every way variable transmission. So you guys, as Americans, I would hope you understand how car transmissions work. You have the 5-speed transmission where you're in when you're in one gear and you're going, but now the engine's working as fast as you can, but you're not going very fast. So you have to put in the clutch, let off the gas, switch gears to the second gear, and then let go of the clutch and then put back on the gas. So then the engine re-engages and starts pulling again, but now you got the second gear. So it goes. Now you're at the top of your second gear. You gotta let off the gas, put in the clutch, switch the gear to the third gear, ungauge the clutch, put back the gas. And then now you're going. Every time you do that transition, you're losing energy. You're losing energy. And especially if you hang out in a transition. If you're stuck in first gear and you can't get to second gear, your engine's burning, but you can't go anywhere. So there's a whole load of problems with the 5-speed transmission. You Americans understand this intuitively if you've ever driven a 5-speed transmission. So nowadays, a lot of times, cars are built with automatic variable transmissions. So what that is, instead of it being 5 separate gears, your drivetrain is one long gear. It's one long gear, and it automatically varies. It automatically varies the torque and whatnot according to the speed, so that you never have a spot where where the engine's going real fast and the gear just is not keeping up. You just can't go anywhere. Never happens. You're always getting exactly the energy you need, or exactly the pull you need for the amount of space you have. So I don't have any visuals for it, but I had them once upon a time. But you understand what I'm talking about. So when you drive a car with automatic variable transmission, it's just smooth the entire time. That's what we need to do with our labor system in the United States. A lot of times we'll have your young people burning all their energy in a job where they can't get anywhere. And it's sucking up their life and their energy. And they're going at high speed, but they're not going anywhere. So it's like a waste of energy. You're burning up that energy. And then we'll ask people who are old, and we're saying, hey, old person, you've been working for 40 years, whatever, but you're not quite to Social Security yet, and you don't quite qualify for disability, so we expect you to work full time. And we say you could go back to your past work as a welder. Or if you can't go to your past work as a welder, we say you could transfer your past relevant work to another job as a welding consultant. All right, bye-bye. That's BS, dude. The guy, so that's like asking your first gear, or that's like asking your fifth gear to move your car the first 20 from 1 mile an hour to 20 miles an hour. So you're trying to accelerate from 0 to 20 at fifth gear. It's not going to happen. Your car's not going to happen. Conversely, you're going to get your young worker who's full energy and ready to go, and you got them stuck at working at a fast food place. They got all this energy and potential, but they're stuck at a job where they can't really go anywhere. So that's the equivalent of being stuck in first gear when you want to be like cruising at like at least third, not being able to switch gears. An automatic variable transmission doesn't have that problem. All right. So what I'm saying is that we could use universal basic income as our stand-in for automatic variable transmission, so that when you're young and you're making a lot of money, and you're working. Okay, yeah, I kind of messed up the analogy. I think I messed it up. But when you're young and you can work a lot, you don't get any help from the state. But as you get older and you can work less and less and less, automatically Social Security will kick in a little bit by a little bit by a little bit at a time. And if something happens and you get a job and you make a ton of money, then it pulls back again. Social Security pulls back again. So you make Social Security benefits not a solid gear that you switch into at certain ages, but rather a continuously variable thing that adjusts to your age and working capacity. That will help keep our energy, keep our economy, that'll keep our gears and engine engaged with one another, and keep the energy flow smooth. Flow the smooth energy. Smooth the flow of energy. All right, let's see. Universal basic income. All right. The way we do a universal basic income is you take the cap off of Social Security. Right now, Social Security is capped at like 140,000, and any money you make above that doesn't get taxed for Social Security. Forget that. Take that tax off. Billionaires. That means billionaires don't pay anything above 140,000. That's dumb. Once you take the cap off of Social Security, it will never ever be in danger of being insolvent, and you'll keep it solvent forever. That means the better billionaires do, the better everyone else does. So, and also that's an incentive not to have billionaires. Okay. Another thing, free daycare. You need daycare so that people can go to work. To get that, for people to go to work, they need like childcare. But right now, childcare is so expensive that any money they make working will go just to pay for the childcare, and so the net is zero. and in between, you get someone else to raise your kid while you work and make money for someone else. So that's a bad deal. No one wants to do that. So we need the government to pay for healthcare so that workers can go work. Like they don't have to use the healthcare. They can stay home if they want, or they can pay for someone else to use healthcare. But you have to give an option to provide healthcare for workers so that they can work. So because again, we're not like, that's part of the gender, that's making labor more gender neutral. Right now, daycare and childcare, a lot of it is always offloaded to women. So if we can provide childcare, that offload some of the labor that's put onto women disproportionately. Okay, what's another thing? Free daycare. No means testing. Just give people money and then take it out the back end. So means testing means that before people give you money, they want to make sure you're not making too much money and that you don't have this other income. So you put the burden on the poor person, the applicant. You put the burden on the person who's supposed to receive the benefits. You're saying, okay, person who needs help, prove that you need the help. And to prove that you need the help, you have to jump through all these hoops. Well, that's dumb. That costs energy. And if you're a person who needs help, you don't have spare energy just to give the system, just to jump through hoops unnecessarily. So instead of making people jump through hoops necessarily, there's another way of doing it, and that's take it out the back end. What I mean by that is you just give everyone all the money they need, anything they need. You just give it to them, anything they need. But you keep track of how much you give them, and you keep track of how much money they make. And at the end of the year, the people who you tax them. Rich people get taxed a bunch. So if you're a person who took a bunch of money from the government and you didn't need it, then the government will take it back. But if you're a poor person and you get given a bunch of money from the government, and then the money you made outside of that was like nothing, the government's be like, yeah, okay, whatever. They won't. That way, you take the burden off the poor person to prove that they need the help, and instead, you put the burden on the rich people to prove that they did need the help. That just because they have a lot of money doesn't mean that the government should take it back. You see how the perspective change shifts everything? Once you stop putting the blame on the weight on poor people and you shift it over to and say, well, no, prove that the government once you shift it the other way, it helps out a lot. See, that's why I need to build it, because when I build it, it's easier to talk about. Okay, what's another thing? Change copyright back to 20 years. But that's something else. I don't really have much I can talk about that. But I know copyright law is kind of killing things. Copyright law is killing our deal, our creativity. Immediate. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we can transition off of oil right now if we only make that transition necessary for civilians. I mean, I understand the military is going to need to like burn stuff and like be an absolute horror to the environment. I hate it. I hate how the military is a horror to the environment. But if we get off the energy, if we develop molten salt nuclear reactors, we won't need a military anymore, because there'll be no need to fight, and we can stop being horrible to the environment. See, so many reasons to get better. Okay, so we need a Manhattan Project for molten salt nuclear reactors or to make fusion. The United States spent like $20 billion equivalent in 1940 money, and it took them 2 years. And most of that money that was spent on building factories so they can test out the things that scientists already like figured out. So and then they invented nuclear reactors and nuclear bombs. If the United States could figure out nuclear reactors and nuclear bombs in 2 years for $20 billion, I think we can do it now. We can save the world if we create nuclear reactors and get everyone off of oil. We'll just save the world. Save the world. Yeah, because once everyone has energy, they have no reason to fight. Russia only has power because people give them money for oil, and they need oil for energy. If we developed a way to give oil to energy to Russia's customers, and they didn't need to give any money to Russia, they would stop right now, and Russia would have no power, no money to fight any war, and they couldn't invade Ukraine. If China had energy and didn't need to import its energy from overseas, then it wouldn't need to threaten Taiwan. It'd have no reason to threaten Taiwan because it has its own energy. Why threaten Taiwan anymore? You don't need to threaten Taiwan once you have your own energy. Like, everyone talks about how United States has bases everywhere all over the world, how it controls everything. Well, that's because it controls oil. If all the people who bought oil from USA got their energy from someone else, then you wouldn't need to give USA any money anymore, and then they would lose lots of their power. Do you see how that's kind of working out? Energy is the source of energy, of everything. Energy is the question of energy. So there's ways to get around it, and there's like, we can envision a future, but it's going to be radically different. It's going to look nothing like we have now. But we have to envision it. We have to start doing that groundwork for vision work to see what's up. Now, I have a ton of slides. I don't know if you really want to see what I've got here. Like, because I've been talking. Here, how about this one? Let's just go, right? Sergei Slipchenko reported that Alexander Dugin, Dugin, Russian mastermind behind Russia's annexation of Crimea, Putin's brains, at the scene where his daughter Daria Dugin was killed when her car exploded, most likely from an assassination attempt that was meant to target him, this guy. So this guy's an oligarch who masterminded the invasion of Ukraine, and his daughter just got assassinated. So he's in Russia. So it wasn't us. It wasn't the Ukrainians. It was Russians who did that. So some Russians are not happy about the way things are going. Okay, what else? Birds of a feather flock together. So this is Greg Abbott, who is the Republican governor of Texas. He's been passing laws that set Texas on a path opposed to the United States. That's what I'll say. And Joe Biggs is currently a guy. He's part of what, the Oath Keepers or the Proud Boys? I don't remember. Or Patriot Front. I can't remember. One of those. He's part of one of the groups that are trying to overthrow the United States, and he's been indicted for seditious conspiracy, which is the term we use when you say you're trying to overthrow the United States. You guys had a plan to overthrow the United States. That's what we're getting. So here's the governor of a state who's trying to overthrow the United States, shaking hands with the guy who's the leader of a group who's trying to overthrow the United States. This is to let you know that the Republicans are trying to overthrow the United States. They're the enemies of the United States. So people who identify as Republicans are enemies of the United States. Check it out. GOP nominees in the 2020 presidential battlegrounds. Among winning candidates for positions that have a role in the election certification process, 54 of 87 candidates are election deniers. That means the majority of GOP nominees that won the primaries deny that 2020 election was fair. The majority of people who the Republicans nominated deny or that Joe Biden is legitimate president. So do you think that if these people lose their election, that they're going to believe it? They're going to deny it, of course. So you've got it set up for 54, the majority of the candidates that the GOP ran. You got them set it up. If all these people lose and they all claim rigged elections, damn. Because that's what they're going to do. If they lose, they're going to claim rigged election. So Donald Trump is on a crime spree. He defrauded the United States when he extorted Zelensky back in the day on behalf of Vladimir Putin. He paid a porn star hush money so she wouldn't talk about how he paid her money, how he was boinking porn stars behind everyone's back while his wife was giving birth to his son. He was involved in, the only reason why Trump is president was because he conspired with Putin to overthrow the election in 2016. So he tried to overthrow. So there's sedition. He tried to overthrow the election. There's the bank fraud where he tells the bank that his properties are. He tells the government that his properties are worth nothing, so they don't tax him. But he tells the banks that his properties are worth a lot, so he can leverage them to get bigger loans. That's fraud. All right. There's sexual misconduct, right, where he just grabs them by the pussy. All right. There's obstruction of justice, where he's like obstructing justice. He's stopping the FBI from conducting investigations to cover up his crimes. There's the Ukraine blackmail. I just talked about it. It's the Fraud USA. There's the attempted coup, which is like him calling Georgia and telling him, hey, Georgia, find me extra votes so I win. There's the fake electors. He had his people create fake slates of electors and tried to send them to Washington, D.C. to count so that he could overturn the election. There's tax evasion where Donald Trump is not paying his taxes. I think I was already talked about that. The trading tax scam, I don't even know what that's about. The campaign finance fraud scam, I don't know what that's about. Sexual fraud, I don't even know. Defamation against their against Dominion. They talked all this crap about Dominion, so Dominion took them to court for defamation, and they're losing everywhere. There's the Hatch Act. What's that about? When you use the government to profit your own businesses. Donald Trump did that all over the place. Bribery. Of course, he asked Ukraine for a bribe. Removing classified documents. That's just the latest one. Like, geez Louise. He's such a bad. And yet, so anyone following this guy is a bad person. Because look at how bad of a person he is. In Florida, there's a poll tax. So how does that work in Florida? So in Florida, they passed a law back in 2016, 2014, I don't remember. But they passed a law by voter initiative. 60% of the voters in Florida said, we're gonna wipe away we're gonna allow for ex-felons to vote. We're going to let ex-felons vote because I guess Florida took away the right to vote for ex-felons. So Florida, by the vote of the people, by a supermajority, said we're going to let ex-felons vote. And that was like a great thing, right? Because who are ex-felons? They're minority people. The state of Florida unjustly uses the carceral system to incarcerate minorities and strip them of their right to vote. That's to maintain power. So in order to fix that, the people of Florida passed the law to give back the right to vote to people who have served their time and who are ex-felons, who they already served their time. Well, that would have taken away power from the white supremacists. So the white supremacists didn't want that to happen. So the white supremacists used their representatives in government, the Republican representatives in government, to basically undo what the voters did. How did they do that? The Florida legislature, led by white supremacists, they said, well, we're going to say that if you're an ex-felon, before you can vote, you have to pay back any fees that you owe the state of Florida. And if you vote before you pay back your fees to the state of Florida, you go back to prison. You may ask the state of Florida, well, what are those fees that I owe the state of Florida, that I may owe the state of Florida? And the state of Florida is not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you. So you have to gamble. You have to guess if you owe money, where you owe money, how much you owe money, and if you're wrong and you vote, we're going to send you to prison. So in other words, Florida set up a poll tax. Florida legislature overrode the will of the voters. The minority government of white supremacists overrode the majority people vote to give back the right to vote to people. And they overrode it to keep power. That's what happens when white supremacists have control, because they're not interested in democracy, they're interested in white supremacy. So this isn't Jamie says, this isn't a poll tax in the traditional sense. It is an indirect poll tax on felons who have served their time. Basically, Florida charges prisoners, and that amount has to be paid after release before their voting rights can be reinstated. Florida also does not tell former felons how much they owe, if anything at all, or does it alert them when their debt has been paid. So basically, a system with zero transparency that indefinitely prevents felons from regaining their voting rights as they're scared to be arrested. And that lack of transparency means the state can claim any felon who votes didn't pay their debts. It doesn't matter if you paid your debts or not. Florida can just invent new things and say, oh, you didn't pay this debt, you're in prison. It's basically the state's way of trying to prevent reformed criminals from voting, even though the state voted to restore voting rights to reformed criminals. Right? That's white supremacy. So there's a lot. You gotta see, we have a great create the great vision, but white supremacists have an entirely different view. The America of white supremacists is Nazism. Look at Nazi Germany. That is the vision of white supremacists. That's the vision of white supremacists that they want to sell and that they're pushing with their policies. All policies of white supremacists push you toward Nazi Germany. Ron DeSantis, Nazi, is pushing toward Florida towards Nazi Germany. The perfect vision. So that's our competing vision. If you're a Republican, if you're a Nazi, you want to push America towards Nazi Germany. And if you're a Democrat, if you're a progressive, you want to push America toward a place where we have molten salt nuclear reactors and there's no need for war. And we save the planet. And we have green jobs and for everyone. And everyone's taken care of with universal health care. Or the Nazi Florida vision promised by Governor DeSantis is no one gets health care. It's all privatized. Everyone's in jail. COVID's everywhere. And you have no rights. White supremacists rule everything. The state can do anything they want to you. Think about it, United States. Think about it. There's two visions. Where do you want to go? What vision do you want? What vision do you want? 2 senators, and we got this vision. 2 more senators. Okay, until next time. Pogokar out. Peace. Stop.